So, hi, Kiyas. It's really nice to have you here. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me about about your experience in marine science and management. Um, yeah, so I think we can go to our first question. So, what can you tell us about your educational background in the marine science and management field?
Yeah, well, I started at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and I studied biology there, specifically integrative biology. And at the time I was there, I was more interested in like a pre-medical field, but then I took a marine biology class and I was like, wow, I really like that. I think that's something I'd prefer to do. So I looked into some programs and I found this program over in Australia at the University of Tasmania, and it's on marine and Antarctic science. So that's more, I was thinking of doing marine and management, but I ended up switching more to just marine and Antarctic, but it does tie together. So I completed my my graduate diploma here last year, and then I extended it to a 2-year program where I can get my full master's. So this whole year right now is just me working on a master's project. Yeah.
I see. That sounds really cool. So, the field that you chose, the marine science, it sounds very unique and interesting. Could you tell us a little bit about like what it entails and like different facets of it, I guess?
Yeah, so the program at the start is very broad. So we are looking at some management and some of the biological aspects, and it's kind of just giving us a base of what we would be interested in learning about or pursuing more directly. So yeah, last year was me looking, I think we did some literary review, so how to read scientific documents, and then also how you can like engage public with the things that we're doing, get people interested, but then also a broad biological background, molecular sciences, things like that.
Alright. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Um, so as a child, did you have any specific passions or interests that led you to take this path?
I was always interested in the outdoors and biology. I just liked knowing how things work. And I was always outside, catching frogs or toads or anything that was around us. We didn't really have an ocean, but when I did go over to the ocean, I was super interested in it. There's just so many sea creatures that nothing like we see, in the Midwest. So I had lots of books and stuff. Yeah, I was pretty interested in it.
That sounds really awesome. Yeah. Could you please share any like challenges that you faced throughout the journey?
I think the challenge of just knowing what direction to take probably would be the main thing. There's so many different ways you can go. And I think a lot of times when people think of marine science, they think of marine mammals, dolphins, whales, turtles, the things that people are really interested in or that they see more on TV. And there's so much more out there. Like my research right now is more on microscopic organisms. So
Right.
things that people don't really know about, picking different ways to go. I think that was the main challenge. But once you find what you're into, it gets more exciting.
I see. Like follow-up question to that. Like what is your specific interest in like I know you talked about like the microscopic field, I guess. So is this something that you're like planning to like teach to the public or like do more research about?
Yeah, definitely. I think that people definitely need to learn about it. The topic that I'm working on is it's kind of difficult to explain. So it's a climate change solution at its base. So I don't know if you heard of ocean alkalinity enhancement, but
Little,
it's when
yeah.
when you take alkaline molecules and you add them into the ocean, and it helps neutralize acidic pH. So it helps with ocean acidification, and then it also lets the ocean absorb more CO2. And as great as that sounds, there's not a lot known about it. And what I'm looking at is phytoplankton. So phytoplankton are responsible for creating nearly 50% of the oxygen we breathe. They're the little tiny microscopic plants in the ocean and in lakes, any water bodies. Yeah, so I'm looking at them and seeing if we alter ocean alkalinity enhancement, if there's any changes to them, because impacting them can cause
Yeah.
maybe some bad things, maybe some good things, we don't know. So yep.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, and it also can be very impactful, I think, in the future too. So have there been any special or notable moments in your experience?
I think the thing that I find most notable is starting a project of my own. So they kind of just throw you into it. And they're always telling us throughout our whole education, we're scientists. But when you get to actually come up with a project and do it yourself, and it's something that's probably going to help and it's important, it's just different. It makes me feel like a real scientist. Yeah, so I like it a lot.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. Experience-wise too, and learning-wise too. So what is your favorite part besides like the notable moments such as like starting the project like you mentioned, but like what's the favorite thing about like what you're learning or what you do?
I feel my favorite thing is that I can learn about it, but then share it with other people too. So these are really intense topics sometimes, and a lot of the public doesn't know about them or they don't understand them. So even with working with you and writing for your organization, it helps me be able to express what I know to people that don't really know it and spread that knowledge. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Besides the this like alkalinity and the climate change solution, what other are you interested in like other areas of marine science?
I am really interested in astrobiology and oceanography. So I know that doesn't sound like it's ocean based, but it does tie together. So astrobiology is the search of origins of life. So we're looking at really intense marine environments like Antarctica or hydrothermal vents where there's species that survive there, even though it doesn't seem like they should.
Yeah.
So seeing how they do that and seeing if that has potential to exist on other planets or how that became in existence here.
Yeah, that also sounds really cool. I see that Jordan just joined, so yeah, so I have Jordan here from the Aeon Ocean team. Yeah, hi Jordan.
Hi.
Yeah, so yeah, we started the interview. So just quickly, if possible, could you like introduce yourself, like what you do and your interests?
Yeah, I am Jordan. I work with Aeon for Ocean as their newsletter manager. I help edit and work with our writers, occasionally writing articles myself. But yeah, I don't want to take away from what you're doing. So go ahead. I'll catch up and get in there.
All right. So, yeah, the next question that I had is what can kids do from like a younger age to prepare for a career or education in the microscopic field of the marine science?
I think something you can do is just start educating yourself, looking at things you're interested in. And sometimes the microscopic world isn't for everyone. It's very, some people do like the bigger things and trying to dial it down can be interesting to some. So maybe just starting in something you're more interested in and then weaving your way into it, watching, reading our newsletters, watching videos, or just talking about it with people, reaching out and figuring out what you're interested in.
Yeah, that's
If you don't mind me asking a question, what's the most important or memorable thing that you think you've learned in your journey so far?
I think the most memorable thing was um I think we talked about a memorable thing earlier, but another
Oh,
memorable thing for me was when I kind of just moved to a place where I was able to pursue what I was interested in. I am originally from Chicago in the Midwest, so there's not too many opportunities for marine science there, but I moved to Australia and I moved to a university where I was able to pursue those things a lot more. So I think that's been really memorable for me as well.
yeah. I think Jordan, you can ask the next question.
okay. Well, hopefully I don't ask another repeat, but um, for me, I know marine science and management sounds really unique and interesting. Uh, what can you tell us about it, you being in that field?
I think that what we don't really know, what a lot of people don't know, is how much the management side ties into what we're doing. So when you think of marine science, you just think, I think more of, again, like the larger animals, the whales or the turtles, things like that. But there are so many different and important factions of that. So asking the public, what they think of certain things, or different stakeholders play an important role in tying that together. So just asking everyone, getting more opinions than just a scientific point of view is really important. I think that's something that people don't really always understand about marine science.
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds
And
really cool.
I know, yeah, the whales definitely get a lot of attention, but I think just the other month we did an article on nudie branches. Did you write it? Yeah,
Yeah.
the sea bunny. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely have your little guys out there too. So
Yeah.
um
So I have
what
the
are some challenges you think you've faced throughout your path?
I think just finding what I was most interested in, because there's so many things. And when people come into it again, they want to target the marine mammals. And there's so many people going after that there is a lot of research there. And you leave out other things that could be just as important.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
just figuring out what I want to do is probably
Yeah.
most difficult.
Yeah. So
It's definitely a wide field.
yep. So the next question that I have is, what advice do you have for aspiring marine scientists? I mean, I know we talked about like what kids can do from a young age, but like people who like say want to go into like the microscopic field, like what advice, like from a learning standpoint or from a scientific standpoint, both, I guess.
Yeah. So from a learning standpoint, I guess you would want to focus on not just the microscopic field, but all of it, because it does all tie together. So picking courses where you're learning not just about like microscopic science, because originally I was very focused on microscopic science, and then I went just kind of in that direction, and it was too much. And I was like, I don't know about that. And I switched to a broader, um, I guess, major where I was able to learn about, let's say, physiology and different ways that animals interact. So learning about all of it allowed me to be like, okay, now I can go back to this and I can apply what I've learned in the past to this and make it easier. Because sometimes if your brain's not just wired to only focus on memorizing things, which microscopic stuff a lot of times is just memorization, then it can be overwhelming. So kind of getting a broad sense of all biology, I think really helped me in that sense.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Yeah, I see what, yeah, that makes sense. Like getting that bigger, broader view first and like seeing the big picture in a sense really
Mhm.
helps. And then, last but not least, would you like to share a special message to the community because World Oceans Day is coming up? So, do you have any?
Yeah, I think something I'd like to share. I know that people always want to know what they personally can do to kind of help out. And, of course, recycling and trying to not take your car everywhere, walking, using a bike, things like that. As much as that does help, there are kind of more issues from like bigger companies that release like a lot of CO2, and those are more so the bigger problems. So just advocating for changes that we see there and educating yourself, because sometimes some of these solutions might sound a little bit scary. So knowing like why we're doing this or how it's possible, just educating yourself and helping educate others, I think would be most beneficial.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the message from Aeon for Ocean is to take our common sense plastic pledge, which you can see on our website, which is one small step into creating a better planet, and also sharing knowledge and awareness about the ocean and marine life with the friends and family, and sharing that awareness, I guess, about like the ocean and what we can do to help prevent like the climate change and also like not polluting the ocean in general, and just yeah, just share the knowledge, I guess. So yeah, that should wrap it up for this interview. Kiyas, thank you for taking the time to talk with me and Jordan today. I learned a lot about like the career of marine science management and also like the microscopic field and how that can have a large impact on like climate change and big issues like that. And Jordan, thank you for being a part of this fun conversation. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.